You're tuned into Cuffing Season, the series.
My name is Kesune.
My name is Kyrel.
My name is Jalen Hamright.
And I'm Rachael Christie.
What's going on, guys? I'm Kyle.
Hi, I'm Naomi.
We are engaged.
And we're engaged.
6 months.
April 22nd.
Yes.
Ooh.
This year.
Yes.
That's interesting. It's kind of unconventional, I would say. I asked for his number first. I was like, give me your number, because he promised me that I was going to get a phone case. So I was like,
And I didn't give you the phone case.
I still, to this day, did not get that phone case.
And where did you guys meet?
School. In college. We met the second week of class.
Yes.
And love at first sight.
So wasn't it
For
that
him,
No,
because
really.
at first I didn't even know he was in my class. So
Shit, what?
I really did. I did not know you were in my class.
Okay. You know, like for me, it's love at first sight, like indirectly, because we weren't friends at all. Like I just saw her and picked up on her vibe, and I just kind of like showed her my interest like initially. So our chemistry is like really, like we have a good friendship, as well as we love each other.
Yeah, like literally, like he started sitting at my table in class, and then like I started sharing my snacks with him, and then it just blossomed from there.
The prof asked he asked a relationship based question, and then she said no, she was single.
Yeah,
so I was like, here we go.
First. So me and Rich, we've been friends for a very, very, very long time. Feelings just came, out of nowhere, literally. And then here we are today.
I don't even remember when we became friends.
Literally.
It kind of just happened organically. And yeah, Jalen used to call me about his exes, and all of that. So like we always had that kind of friendship where he could call me, talk to me about anything, and I could do the same. He's the person like I would call and talk about even like my deepest, darkest secrets. He was my guy friend that I would go to all the time. But I never really thought that we'd end up together. Like it just wasn't in the cards. Like back then, we didn't really think it would happen. But then here we are. Ooh.
I'm told that I'm not allowed to tell this story.
Well,
so.
actually, you can start, and then maybe I'll fill it in.
Our churches are the churches that we went to are a part of like the same organization, so we saw each other like fairly often. I have known Kesune's face for a long time, but we've never had any conversations. I've seen her around and I've said hi.
Good. Okay. Fair. We were at conference, and he was doing a spoken word. And I was like, oh, who's that?
That's not awkward at all.
But like, nothing was of anything. Like I was too shy to even like say hi most of the time. That I've seen him. Like it was literally like, sorry.
That's actually fairly accurate. She has a wonderfully like friendly face. So like she's always smiling and she'll like wave, but I don't know if she's ever actually verbally said hi to me.
Like it's just I was awkward with it like that. And then like do you remember like at church?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I like him.
That's why
you were like you're like, you should tell him. And I was like, me? No.
Meanwhile, I am completely
And he's
oblivious.
he had no idea. Like 1 year he wished me happy birthday, and I was like, oh, so he noticed me. And so we had a conversation after that, and I was like, conversation not going how I wanted to go, so I'm not gonna say nothing.
Like a year later.
I was like, you know what?
I'm gonna message him again. So I messaged him. We were having a normal conversation, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna say something. If I say it and he says he doesn't like me or he doesn't want to get to know me, then like it's cool. Like at least I know I can stop liking him. Because like this is going on for a long time. Like, well, why do I still like him? And I don't even know him that well. So it was like, okay, just say something and get it over and done with. Okay, so like, are you seeing anyone?
Yeah.
Just like that?
I was like, hey, major segue, I have a question for you. Are you seeing anyone?
I said I am as single as a Kraft cheese slice.
And I was like, that's good news. And I like went into like, hey, I like you. I want to get to know you. Like, if you want to get to know me too, then like we can do this. And yeah, and it just from there it just took off.
What clicked? What was the switch for you guys? Like, when did it go from friends to like more than friends?
I would say like late 2017, early 2018. Like we just started hanging out a lot more. Like I remember I took her out on a date. Like she didn't call it a date, but I kind of did. It was like the more we hung out, the more I realized like, yo, she's a wife. Like, you know, like I'm not trying to have no one else have her. It got to that point.
Yeah.
So that was when it clicked for me. And then ladies conference in 2018 was like, it was I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna.
So, okay, you mentioned she's a wife. What was she doing, or how was she behaving that made you say, yo, this is something that's serious?
It was the way she carried herself. Like, it was so different from the other women that I would see. Like, you know, especially at that time, I would always be going out places, you know, and especially different from all the other females that I've had in the past. Like, she actually cared about me. She actually listened to me, and, you know, she came with a lot of wisdom. I was just like, you know what? I like that. So.
I think for me, obviously I've dated other people in the past. I don't know, the relationship just felt different. I think that because we had such a solid friendship before, it was kind of easier for me to see myself with Jalen. A lot of guys, they never stated their intention from the beginning of what they wanted and like what their motives were. And I feel like because Jalen stated that in the beginning, that was different for me, because a lot of other guys are like, oh yeah, you're a cool girl, I want to get to know you, I want to talk to you, whatever, and it's kind of basic, very vague type of thing. But he was very open, he made himself vulnerable, and he was just very candid about what he wanted and his intentions.
Did that scare you, that he was so open about what he wanted?
At first it did scare me a little bit, because I'm the type of person that like, because of my past experiences, I'm like, I want to be sure about this. Like, I don't want to get into anything and then regret it afterwards or feel like I'm wasting my time. I hate using the phrase wasting my time, but I didn't want to commit to something or kind of lead him on if I wasn't really sure about what the direction that I wanted to go relationship wise, because at one point I wanted to kind of just be single and kind of, you know, grow, work on myself, but then having someone beside you who kind of walks with you and you feel like, you know, I can truly be myself around this person, I don't feel like I have anything to hide, and then they kind of encourage you along the way, it really helps, you know. So
You made the first move, and you guys are engaged. So it's kind of cool to see that different story. Were you a little bit, I guess, thrown off by that, Kyrel, that she kind of made that first move? I was like, what?
No, because I mean, honestly, if she didn't say anything to me, I never would have like done like a second take, because she's never said anything. She's just always just said hi and just waved, and we just like kept it moving. So I never would have. I had no idea that she thought anything of me.
So that kind of opened your eyes a little bit. It's like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was me.
Okay.
I was with Philip. Shout out to Philip Robinson. You're a huge factor in this right here. Thank you. I would always talk about Rachel to Philip, and he was always like, "Yo, you love her. Just tell her." And I'm just like, nah, I don't like her. You know, just hiding the, you know, emotions and everything. And then we were at a rehearsal, and we were leaving, and same thing, like, oh yeah, Rachel and I did this, and then he said to me, he's like, yo, you need to tell Rachel that you love her, because you're gonna hate to see her with somebody else. And instantly I did a U-turn, and I text her, and I'm like, yo, I gotta talk to you right now. We meet up, I walk her to her door, and I look her in the eyes, and I say, Rachel, I'm like, I love you, okay, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I've never done anything like that before.
So this is not even the proposal. This is the first time you said I love you. Were you guys officially together at this point?
No, we weren't. We were just friends when I did it. I know. Wow. I know.
That I like that though, because it's different. Because usually you hear these things happen after, we've been engaged and we've been dating for a while, but you're telling me, we weren't even dating yet. We weren't even at that stage. But I knew then, and that's bold.
Very,
I like that.
Very. I've never done anything like that before. I was nervous until I looked in her eyes. Sounds very cheesy, but when I saw her, I was like, I have to tell her, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is going to end their friendship. I don't know if this is going to, go into a relationship. I just have to let her know that night. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it was the intention, We weren't even dating. We were just literally friends. And then that happened. So I was like, okay, I see you out here trying. All right. We'll see where this leads. And even up until that point, I didn't say it back. I didn't say I love you back or anything. And we didn't have any titles, like anything. So it was kind of just going on. We were just still friends even after that point. And then it was probably like a couple of months afterwards. I was just like, okay, so we've been hanging out a little bit more now, and well, let's I guess make it official.
Shit.
So how did that happen? How was that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, it was me. I was just like, I love this guy. So I'm just gonna tell him. And I did. Honestly, at this point, it was like, was I freaked out? Maybe a little bit. But it wasn't anything that was like, it was just normal nerves.
Consider showing women that you can make the first move.
It's taking all the moves here.
And it's okay. That's good. I like that.
If you know, you know.
For me, I would say affection was really tough for me at first. Just for my past relationships, I didn't really know how to show it because the women in my family were not really affectionate people, so I had to learn that and just learn not to always be on the defense. For me, it's just getting to know my partner more, not so much letting my feelings overtake, moving fast or whatever. After I initially it was a fast move, I would say, but after that, really kind of getting to know her and kind of set aside my experiences with my past partners.
That there had definitely been a long period of time for me prior to having been in a relationship. I think it had been 4 or 5 years. I definitely had spent time with myself and my relationship with God and really thinking about what is important to me in the next relationship. And I think for the relationship that I have with Kesune, I think I have definitely been much more intentional about having my faith be prominent in that relationship and being able to build our relationship with God together. But I think with my relationship with Kesune, I think it was definitely much more intentional. So I know that comes to mind off the bat.
Quite a bit of things were different. I had ended a relationship and there'd been a little gray area. And then you finally okay, this is just done. Yeah. So that happened, and I had 4 months before I actually spoke to him. I had sat down and was okay, what do I want? What do I want in a partner? And not only what do I want in a partner, but can I be the person that I want? Do I have the same qualities, or am I working on myself to get to the same qualities of the things that I want? And so I had a list of things, but they're not they're not a superficial list. Right, it was character traits and stuff like that. And I had a list of what I want. And so that helped me to okay, well, this is what I want. If it's not anything close to this, then no. Is that we had a lot of boundaries in our relationship, just healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are basically us knowing ourselves, knowing what we want and where we're trying to go, and then just be okay, well, these are the the things that I will accept in a relationship, and these are the things that I'm just like, if it's not like, if there's no self-awareness to these things, I can't continue, because you're just gonna end up in a spiral of just an unhealthy relationship.
Like that.
For me, because we knew that our end goal was marriage, I approached it differently, whereas in other relationships that intention wasn't stated. It was kind of like, okay, let's just see where this goes. And so for me, having someone to beside me too who was working on their relationship with God, that was different for me, because I dated someone before who was just like, yeah, you know, I go to church, da da da, but then the fruits were just not there, you know. And so for me, that was a red flag before, and I'm like, you know what, with Jalen, you know, his character speaks for itself. So I was like, okay, this is a little bit different, I can work with this. And so I felt a little bit more comfortable really committing. And when you have somebody that serves with you, it makes it so much easier too, because we're both, he's playing bass, I'm on the worship team, or I'm doing youth ministry, he's with me youth ministry, like, you know, and we shared a lot of interests, especially in church. So that kind of helped us to bond a little bit more as well. I've never had someone pray for me the way that Jalen does. He'll randomly call me and be like, yo, let's pray together, or, you know, and he took the initiative to want to lead. I didn't have to be pushing him like, come on, guy, like, we need to get this thing going, you know? He was always ready to call and say, yo, let's do this, let's pray. Worshiping together, like, all that, like, really, really helped us. And yeah, I mean, I read a couple of relationship books. I don't know. I'll read more. Jalen's not really, like, you know, a reader. He plays guitar, but
I'll read, but not as much as her.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing? Reading this book, you know.
Yeah, but I think that helped us too, because in me like reading those books and all that stuff, then we were able to have conversations about those. I like about relationships and stuff like that. And I'll go on Pinterest. I'll find like ask your partner these 100 questions, and like we'll sit down for like 2 hours maybe, and we'll go through all these questions in depth, just kind of getting to know each other. Whereas in other relationships, I never really had that, you know. So
the difference in this relationship was that we both pursued God together. Previous relationships with other people, God wasn't the goal. He wasn't the source of those relationships. And with Rachel, he's the source of our relationship. We're pursuing him together and also individually, and that's what makes a huge difference. Everything else, she said. Like, we've been dating for 3 years now, and we're still finding more stuff about each other, so it's really, really good.
Well, for me, like, for the love part, like, that has always been, like, a big thing in my household. Like, I always could see the love between my parents and, like, the romance. Like, my dad would always buy my mom flowers, and he always write her poems, and, like, he had, like, I think it was, like, their 22nd wedding anniversary. He, like, wrote her a whole poem, and he had their wedding picture framed, so I always go in their room and I look at that, so that was, like, a big part for me. Like, I think for us, like, in the family, we only had, like, one divorce, so, like, I'm used to, like, long-lasting marriages, and I've always wanted that for myself.
For me, it's a contrast. My parents were separated, like, since I was very small. So love between, like, having a partner, I didn't really experience that 100%. Kind of learn on my own how to, like, you know, develop love for a partner, and I think that's, for me, like, that's how I'm so expressive with my love to a partner, is because, like, you know, like, I haven't really seen it or been around it for so long. My parents obviously had partners, so I've seen romance, marriage. Not much of my family members are married, so marriage is a very big thing for me, because I'll be like, in my generation, like one of the first to be married. So yeah.
So for you, since you've never really seen that, what made you want to do this?
What made me want to do this is primarily to show that example to that past generation that commitment is a good thing. You know, that I feel like that generation, they don't really, that's just my opinion, like, they don't really value commitment like that. So I think for me, it's just, especially like, for example, like my dad, like showing him like, you know, commitment to one person, you can do it. You can show true love to somebody, and if you really love somebody, you know, you can commit yourself to them by publicly expressing yourself in that way. So I think that's one reason why I decided to do that, even though I'd never seen it modeled like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Certain things that I've seen my parents do, as I got older, I figured out which one was positive and which one was negative. That kind of makes sense. And basically, they influenced me kind of indirectly. I know it wasn't their intention to influence the way I view love or anything like that. But as time went by, I was kind of picking and choosing what to apply to my relationship and what not to. You know, just based off of, you know, my mom's behavior and my dad's reaction, and also based on my dad's behavior with my mom's reaction. Right? Now, some things that they would do on the positive side did not work out for me and Rachel, right? But it was still good to even try. That way, if it was to work out, I would continue it. So that's kind of how they influenced my love life and romance and everything.
Yeah, for me, my parents aren't together. They haven't been together since, I don't know, I was even a year old. Like, they broke up afterwards. I'm not ashamed of that at all. You know, things happen, relationships don't work, and that's okay. But for me, I think that because I kind of grew up in a bit of a broken home, it made me view relationships differently, and it made me want to work harder in my own relationship. So I wouldn't say I had a lot of positive role models when it came to marriage relationships. However, I kind of just knew what I wanted for myself, and kind of just winged it along the way. I've met married couples along the way who have really influenced me positively. One couple I can say is Jalen's aunt and uncle, Rachael and Martin. They've really been there from the beginning of our relationship. They've really helped us out. They've invited us into their home and, you know, given it to us straight. You know, they didn't cut any corners or anything, and they've really supported us and helped us. So they've helped me to view relationships differently too, as well as, you know, my pastors and stuff. Honestly though, when it comes to affection, for me, it was a very touchy thing.
Why is that?
I think it's because growing up, sometimes in West Indian households, our parents do not say I love you a lot.
Right.
Yes. And for me, expressing love probably meant acts of service, not necessarily saying I love you. And sometimes people want to hear I love you in relationships, not necessarily only doing acts of service. So for me, Jalen knows, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, don't worry about it, you know. But he's like, no, you don't have to do all of that, like it's okay, you know. And that really helped me to open up a little bit more, to be able to express myself using words, as opposed to always just wanted to do something to prove that I love that person. Yeah. So
with my parents, I've definitely seen, my parents are still together, so I've definitely had the example of that, of at least being able to witness two people that are still married, live in the same household, still are friendly, kind. They try to work together as best as they can as a couple. I've definitely seen them go through difficult times and be able to come through it one way or another. So I think that's been helpful, and I think I kind of keep that in mind, knowing that even when things are difficult or unpleasant, that doesn't mean that you have to give up. So I think that's definitely been something that stands out to me. And I think also the idea of them being married has made the idea of marriage desirable for me. Because I know like a lot of people will be like, well, I mean, I've seen all of the relationships around me and they all just end in like brokenness, so why would I want to get involved in that? So I think having that example in front of me has also kind of made it something that I would aspire to in my own life as well.
For me, like well, how do I say this? I grew up with seeing relationships as something that like doesn't work. Like a lot of like unhealthy, dysfunctional like relationships. I think in my family there's like 2 of my aunts that like are married and are still married today, but we never like, besides spending 2 summers with my aunt, like I never had that like where I saw an example of a healthy marriage and like a marriage that it has longevity. Right. So I grew up with the idea of like, well, I don't want this, but never necessarily had the ability to say like, okay, what do I want? What does a healthy marriage look like? Like it wasn't until like much later on in my life where I was able to like formulate what that looks like for me or what I want. But yeah, I didn't have that like example or any type of like real example, to be honest.
Go ahead.
It's changed in the sense, for me at least, it's more like looking forward to the actual like marriage life, like compared to like being like not engaged. I didn't really let an engagement like, you know, change the way how I act based on that status. Like we're still, you know, joke around and we still do everything, like, and I think that's the beauty of our relationship. I think is that going in marriage, like I don't have any preconceived notions like, oh, like I'm afraid of, you know, this, the reason why we're together changing, you know what I'm saying? So like I think yeah, I think for me at least it's the same. How about yourself?
For me, I would say like I never thought that the way we act toward each other or with each other would change. But for me, I found myself being more focused on certain things. So like when we got engaged, I started thinking about like how we want to build together. So I started making things a priority. Like for me, I was like, I want to be better with money. I want to start saving for certain things.
So it has changed. There's been a few conflicts, you know. I would say only because like we're moving in together, so it's like okay. We both have different views on certain things, and we will sometimes kind of buck heads into choosing something that will benefit the both of us. So it'll be like stuff like that, nothing serious. Just a little bit of pressure, but not that much. Even with this pandemic going on, we're using this to our advantage, right? At first, when we got engaged, we were thinking, looking at caterers and doing all that stuff, and then that just came to a little standstill. We just keep trying to make sure that we keep the same standard of our dating relationship with while being engaged as well. We want to still have fun and, you know, be close to each other and express our love. However, so yeah, there's been a slight change, but I would say on a positive side.
I think the biggest thing for me that has changed is realizing that whenever there is a conflict, now I can say, you know what, give me a day or two to think about it. We'll revisit the conversation. Mm-hmm. But then when you get married, you're in that same space with that person. Mm-hmm. And so I've been learning that even if there is a conflict, I have to start practicing now to, you know, face it head on and not kind of sweep it under the rug, because in the future when we start living together, I can't just say, you know what, forget it, I'm not talking about this right now, and kind of distance myself. I can't do that because I'm gonna have to resolve it. If like you have this person sleeping beside you every night, you know what I mean, how are you gonna lay there with both your backs turned? No, you have to resolve it, right? Absolutely. So I'm trying to do that now, and I think that's one of the things that I've had to work on at this stage.
I don't think there, do you think there's a change? I don't think there's like a
change.
I think it's more of like us deciding like how we're merging lives. And
yeah, I would say that.
Okay.
I would say that.
Sorry.
Wow.
That's great.
Well,
that's great. The truth, guys. Hey, bust it open. Let's go. What are you looking for?
A lie? What am I looking for?
Oh my gosh.
You know what? I'll say this Like one of the things that I'm actually really looking forward to is just not having to leave her like at the end of the night. Like I actually hate that. Like the part where like I have to, like if I'm at her house and I have to leave to come back home, or if she's at my house and I have to leave to bring her back home. I actually hate that. So I actually look forward to times where I get to like come home to her and I don't have to leave. I look forward to the idea of building a life and building a family with her. I look forward to those things.
I do too. Not just sex, guys.
Coming home and seeing your face every day, man.
Like we talk about this like every day. I literally say like I just can't wait to bother you every single day.
Just go home for work and then she's just like standing there, but
living with my best friend, and you know, just doing life with my best friend. You know, pursuing God together, talking every single day. You know, yeah, just literally continuing my life with my best friend. That's what I'm looking the most forward to.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing for me. Just being in a space where I feel accepted, comfortable, loved. Somewhere where, in a space where I don't feel judged, and somewhere where I can truly be vulnerable and be myself 100%. Not having to hide who I really am, or, you know, kind of wearing a mask, you know, and yeah, just living in a safe space. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing for me. And then I really want to be a young mom, so that's like the next thing for me.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I just want to get the ball
family.
going on family thing. Yeah.
Can't wait.
For me, I would say like in my family, like we have a way of like when arguments are happening, like on my side, they'll just kind of like not apologize. They'll just be nice to you. So I'm kind of like afraid of like a certain like argument where just like it causes a wedge. Like that's something I don't want.
not being able to fulfill certain responsibilities as a husband, mainly financially. Like, you know, you want to provide for your household, and it's, well, you try to be positive and, you know, you work hard and everything, but, you know, sometimes life hits you. And me personally, like, it's hard to deal with certain things when, you know, you can't provide or help out in certain fashion. So I think that's one fear of mine, is to like make sure I'm able to provide for everyone, whether it be financially, emotionally as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, again, if you're whether stressed out from work or whatever the case may be, I don't want that to really affect how I come in the house. You know what I'm saying? I want, you know, it's unrealistic to think like, you know, everything's gonna be positive and all the time, but at the same time, I want, I just leave work at work, leave whatever is happening, you know, don't let it affect how you treat the household.
For me, the thing that makes me the most nervous is I don't want to fail. I just want to be the best husband there is. You know, I don't want to like mess up. Like, I've seen a lot of marriages fail. I've seen a lot of husbands give up on their wives, and I don't want to do that. So that kind of motivates me to always do good, and like to always try to, you know, fix the problem or solve the problem, resolve the conflict, whatever that me and Rachel are going through at the time. Like, you know, there's financial failures, like, you know, just any failure in general. That's kind of what makes me very, very nervous about getting married. I know I'm going to be making mistakes. I know that things are going to get really, really tough. And I just want to be able to see everything through and be able to be victorious in those certain situations. So, yeah. I do overthink a lot, which that's something that I'm working on. Small issues in my head are like this. So it really pressures me mentally even more. So that's kind of why it's fearful for me.
And a friend actually said this to me, is bitterness in my marriage. Because sometimes I think that as women too, sometimes we tend to hold on to things, and we don't, it's like, I don't know if we just want to kind of wallow in it or whatever. I don't know what the issue is, but just being bitter about things and not really talking out our issues, but holding on to it and saying, you know what, forget about it. I don't want to talk about it. Just leave it alone. It will blow over. I don't want to be that wife. I want to be the wife who is like, come on, let's sit down. Let's talk about it, hash it out, get to the root of the issue so that we can fix things and reconcile in whatever way that we need to. And yeah, I just don't want that to creep in. And I've honestly been working on that in my own life, apart from Jalen, just learning how to let things go. Yeah.
I think it's more of like, what if this happened? Like, my brain just goes to worst case scenario sometimes, and it's just like, what if this happens? What if that happened? What are you gonna do? Or how are you guys gonna handle it? And like sometimes I'll throw him questions, and he's like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm not there.
Strangest questions.
I don't know. What do you want? Like, I can't give you an answer. But like, yeah, I don't have any fears towards getting married. Actually, it's just like life happens, and you don't control that at all, and it's more of like the unknown.
I do question what life is going to throw at us. Well, this is also a commitment, so it's not just something to be like, all right, I don't like this, forget this. Right? Like you have made a commitment, and so you do your best to honor that commitment as well.
Mission statement. I want a relationship to be one that exemplifies honor, respect, love, friendship. One that is a true example of what it means to be disciples of Jesus Christ. At the end of the day, we are disciples before we're husband and wife. And I think that should definitely be the foundation of our marriage.
Positivity. Our mission, like, we're both positive people, even when, some people don't even know we just came out of like an argument, for example. Not to be fake or anything, but it's just how, our nature is, basically. So I think us as a couple, we're very positive, and we see the good in like bad situations as a unit.
And laughter, like we always try to make each other laugh. Like I always try to joke from dumb stuff, especially when I know like he's feeling down. So like we always try to make each other laugh and bring each other up when we know something's wrong.
Reflect humility, and I was saying that I want us to be able to be free to grow and evolve as people, and like know that we're both there to support each other and love each other regardless of who we evolve into as people, because we're gonna 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, we're not gonna be the same person that's sitting right here.
Yeah, I like that. I think the idea of service, like you're not too good to do anything. Service to each other, service to others, and service to God. Premarital counseling is good.
Yeah. I would say before premarital counseling, like individual counseling, like if you're looking to spend your life with this person, it's like go individually to separate counselors and like work on you, like become the if you're self-aware and you're accountable, like you can survive almost like anything like in your relationship. It's healing. Some of it, like we're not always aware of the areas of our lives that needs work and needs healing, and so counseling helps you with that. You're understanding the weight of what the commitment means, and do it.
Are you the right person to be receiving of what you are looking for? Notice some of the differences between you and your partner and how you feel about those differences. Now, there are some things about your partner that you actually just don't like, and you wish that they would do differently. And I think you have to be able to identify those things, because you also are going to have to come to terms with those things. Because a person is not just going to change because you tell them to. And if you're going to marry a person, you have to be willing to accept the fact that if these things about this person doesn't change, is that going to bother me like in 10 years? Like it's like, I don't really like this right now, and then in like 50 years be like, yo, I hate this. I can't believe like I ever signed up for this. Well, you saw this in the beginning. You have to make the choice. Be like, these are the things that are not necessarily on my wish list. How do I feel about them? What do I want to do about them? Do I want to actually say, okay, I am committing to this. Because you don't just commit to the good parts of a person, you commit to a person in their entirety. Yeah. So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I would say, like, every day is not going to be the greatest, but as long as both of you are willing to work at it, like, you can have a very good relationship. Like, it's a two-way street. Like, if only one person is working at it, then it's going to be very tough to move forward and grow together.
Not letting the title of being engaged affect how you operate. Being engaged for some time now, I don't find it necessary to let that, and I see it a lot, like, you know, people engage and they start to, you know, be indifferent to their partners or, you know, to their friends, or their whole demeanor changes. I don't think that's necessary or healthy. I think, you know, be true to yourself and look forward to that next chapter in your life. You learn a lot, go for it. I mean, it's a learning experience and it's a great experience.
Keep developing your friendship. Study your partner, so that way you'll be able to serve them without them even saying anything. Keep Christ ahead and make prayer a priority. All right, even if it's a 2-minute prayer or 1-minute prayer, just make sure you guys are praying daily. Okay, do devotions together, study the word together, do all that stuff, and have fun. Okay. All right, find something that you both like and have fun. Me and Rachel, we love eating. Okay. We're probably gonna get some ice cream after this right now, you know. Just fellowship, do whatever you need to do. That will bring you guys closer. Find ways to get to know each other more and more. Do what you guys want to do as well. A lot of people will come and give you guys, you know, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should. Whatever you and your loved one wants to do, you guys do it, as long as it's holy.
For me, I know obviously every relationship is different, but for me, I would say build a friendship without titles first. Yeah, build a friendship without titles, because I feel like titles makes you feel entitled, like you have to play a certain role, but I feel like without titles you can kind of be a little bit more relaxed. That's for people who are dating but, you know, don't necessarily or who are thinking about titles early on. The next thing I would say is find out what your partner's interests really are. So for example, I know Jalen, he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So yeah, girl, I went, you know, learned the game of football, literally got to know like different players, the positions they play. I'm asking them questions like, yo, what's a sack versus a punt? Like stuff like that, you know what I mean? So like get to know like what they like, and who knows, you probably start enjoying the things that they like enjoying too, because, you know, now if I'm at work, he texts me the scores of the game type of thing, you know?
And she actually understands it. And to piggyback off of that, she loves like interior designing. So I would look at couches and furniture and like mirrors and side tables and be like, look at this, I found this on Pinterest, you know. I actually made a Pinterest account because of her. Yeah. You know, because she was interested in it, and then, you know, we both share it.
Yeah, but I'm surprised I didn't mention this before, but having a relationship that's built on sex, it doesn't last.
No,
or it could last for a while early on, you know. But I find that when you have a bond that is so strong, so much stronger than that, like it really does bring something else to the table. It really enhances your relationship, because then when that's not there, you still have something to stand on. Yeah. So I think that was a big thing for us too, that I know has helped other people as well. Another thing too that I would say is get to know that person's family. Huge deal. Like, spend time with their family, get to know everyone, build relationships with them, because it's so important. And the last thing that I would say is don't be afraid to show your true colors around that person. The good, the bad, the ugly, like they need to know. They need to know. Don't hide anything. Don't say, you know what, I'm just gonna, you know, suppress my feelings and suppress my emotions and not let this person see how I truly am. Let them see it. that's what I would say. Don't pretend. Let them see it and be the real you, the true you, and state your intention.
State your intention. All right.
Yeah. So you don't waste your time.
Very good. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We're the unit.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having
That's
us.
it. Done. You guys look at